I want to apologize at the onset right now because I may get a little bit worked up in this video, and I'm probably going to say a few antagonistic things because of that, but just to get the ball rolling right now, I'm not sorry because of what I'll say. I'm sorry because of how it may affect the viewership experience. I'm not sorry to the people I'll be talking about. I'm sorry for the people watching because the people that I'm talking about are beneath the rest of us. I'm speaking, of course, about kick streamers who represent the bottom of the societal barrel. They are the lowest rung on humanity's ladder, the leeches of the digital world, and they, along with the platform that supports them, should be stricken from mainstream consciousness. They should be stripped of their channels, their voices, and their revenue most of all. Many of them should be imprisoned, with their freedoms revoked. Some of them have been. And if we're talking about the platform at large, as well as the people who make it popular, I want my position to be crystal clear right now. Kick and its streamers are worthless. They have no moral, ethical, or intellectual value of any kind, and thus they deserve no respect, no recognition, and no consideration. I will not treat them as my equal, I will not be charitable in my commentary, and I will continue to view them and talk about them as the garbage they are. Kick is the anal cavity of the streaming world, occupied by precisely what you might expect to find there. After being suspended or removed from any of the other more reputable platforms, it's the place that the scum of the live streaming market congregate, and as a result, understandably, it's a cesspit. Okay, clarification real fast because I think I did just massively overgeneralize. I'm not talking about people who, for example, multi-stream. If you're streaming on Twitch and YouTube and Kick and TikTok all at the same time, I mean, good on you. You're just expanding your digital footprint, okay? I really can't fault you for that. I'm talking about people that stream in the IRL category of Kick because they're not allowed to stream anywhere else. They've been removed from the other platforms, okay? The IRL people on Kick who only stream there because it's their only option, those are the people I'm talking about. If you're someone who streams on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick at the same time, and you do like artwork or video game streams, I got no problem with you. I'm sorry, I kind of overgeneralized there, admittedly. I'm not going to show all the different clips that I'll be talking about because I'd be suspended immediately from YouTube, but Kick is the place that you go if you want to commit crimes and get paid for them. Its high-profile streamers have endangered the public, crashing cars, starting fights on the street, or sexually harassing strangers on camera. There's domestic abuse on the platform, mistreatment of the mentally ill, and everything from tricking a homeless woman who can't swim into jumping off a dock and then running away giggling, all the way to shooting strangers with paintball guns and the exploitation of minors. One more specific example would be this, where I struggle to even call them people, these youth argue and bicker, shoving cameras in each other's faces in a malformed attempt at stunted social bravado, until one of them shoves the other into a moving train. Oh yeah, those kids got real bright futures. Can't wait to see what they accomplish in life. Real assets to humanity right there. So much value. Anyway, what you'll often see when this type of stuff goes viral is that pesky steak logo plastered down at the bottom of the screen. And there's a very convoluted yet conceptually simple reason for that. See, Kick appears to be primarily a method of circumventing gambling advertisement laws. In order to get listed on the iOS App Store, the platform had to make certain disclosures in the process, and because of those disclosures, we learned quite a few things. Kick is owned and operated by Kick Streaming Proprietary Limited, which is then owned, as in all of its shares, by EasyGo Entertainment. EasyGo has two primary shareholders, one being Ashwood Holdings Proprietary Limited, with 1/3 of the stock, which is then wholly owned by a man named Edward Craven, and the other, 2/3 that is, belongs to a man named Bihan Tehrani. Stake.com, a crypto-based online casino, is also owned by EasyGo, while operated by a company called Medium Rare. But if you drill down and look at the actual businesses, as per this Form 603 filing as an example, you'll see that Edward Craven, Bihan Tehrani, Ashwood Holdings, EasyGo Entertainment, Stake World Proprietary Limited, Kick Streaming Proprietary Limited, and Kick Streaming Limited all have the exact same business address. Simply put, it's a convoluted ownership obfuscation scheme, but the ultimate premise is that these two billionaires simultaneously own the crypto casino Stake.com and the Kick streaming platform, which allows them to pipe the gambling streams to the top of the directory, which is consistently one of the top categories on the website, supplement platform revenue with enormous incentives for that type of content, circumvent gambling advertisement laws, because it's just a live stream, bro, and then bombard their underage fans with non-stop gambling promo streams from their favorite degen creators who have been propped up, incentivized, and thoroughly compensated for their participation. Long story short, Kick.com is an extension of a crypto casino. It's the byproduct of a separate, far more lucrative business, and it serves as an advertising arm for that business. The technical term here is loss leader because Kick itself doesn't make money. Even top competing livestream platforms like Twitch don't make money. Hell, even YouTube doesn't make money. But Kick doesn't need to because the money it helps earn on stake is far higher. Now, if that's all it was, I wouldn't be nearly this harsh. Sure, it's bad on its face. The total net impact of this platform is overwhelmingly negative in a variety of ways. But it's a whole lot worse than that, because after a multi-year pattern of psychological and physical abuse, a streamer has died. The official title, for the moment, is that he died in his sleep, but when you take a step back and look at the full picture, it's not nearly so simple. I am not able or willing to show on screen what was done to him. His name was Raphael Graven, streaming under the alias Jean Pormanov. He was a vulnerable man with various personal struggles who streamed with a group of people, and this was routinely done as part of challenges. He and others would be required to do certain things, complete certain video games, or follow certain rules during those streams. But tragically, his friends, truthfully, they were never his friends. No one willing to do what they did to another human being is a friend to anyone. Tragically, the streamers around him went down the path of physical and psychological abuse for viewership. What they did to him should never be done by or to anyone, but they did it for years. And I know that sometimes it's difficult to hear someone's words and fully grasp the gravity of what happened, but what they did is dark web. The way that he was treated can only be described as torture. And yet the official Kick channel in France routinely promoted these broadcasts. I want to warn people, this isn't the easiest thing to hear emotionally, but a couple days before he passed away, one of the other streamers grabbed his phone and read his most recent text messages out loud for the chat. A few days before he passed, Raphael Graven reached out to his mother and he said, quote, "Hi mom, how are you? Stuck to death with this game. This is going too far. I feel like I'm being held captive with their shitty concept. I'm fed up. I want to get out. The other guy doesn't want to. He's holding me captive." End quote. The translation may not be perfect. I don't speak French. I had to use a program. But there is no version of this where what happened to him can be explained, justified, or brushed off. The official narrative is that he passed away in his sleep, but the complexity is that he had a heart condition, and the things that were done to this man in no conceivable universe did anything other than worsen that heart condition through systematic sleep deprivation, physical battery, and things I don't even really want to describe. This is the part that needs to be focused on. The behavior was known. In late 2024, published by Mediapart, there was an investigation into what was happening, with a subtitle reading, quote, "On the Kick platform, French streamers engage in live physical and psychological humiliation every night to obtain donations from viewers. A well-established business of abuse, the primary victims of which are vulnerable people." End quote. But when it comes to a platform as sick and disgusting as Kick.com, there's no end. The official Kick France social media channel, aside from a multitude of promotional tweets about JP and the challenge streams that he was attacked on, made multiple posts, which they've now deleted, like this one, which says, "This isn't legit. We need to start over right away." But keep in mind, this is in reference to a challenge stream, so they were called, where undeniable and obvious psychological and physical humiliation and torture, that's the real only word for it, was occurring against a vulnerable man. How about this one? In a picture, after he'd been abused, they used an image of him with black paint, presumably all over, to sell Kick merchandise. They deleted this one too, obviously, but what needs to happen next is abundantly clear. Law enforcement needs to rip the platform apart, rip the company to shreds, and figure out if, or how much, rather, these creators were being paid, and then lock them up. Kick routinely offers lucrative contracts to their top broadcasters. It's an integral part of their business model, actually, and this was one of their top French broadcasts. They routinely promoted these broadcasts through official Kick social media, and the pattern of abuse goes back literal years. It is unignorable. I've heard rumors, which I can't personally confirm at this point, that Kick was paying the channel where this happened 2,000 euros per hour of streaming, even directly tying subsequent more lucrative contracts to the outcomes of marathon streams. except prior to his death, one of these marathon streams included extreme physical violence, sleep deprivation, horrible levels of it, and ingestion of toxic products. Thankfully, there is now a judicial investigation in France, which ideally will bring down consequences on the platform, the streamers involved, and anyone else whose negligence contributed to this horrible situation. But this is the kind of thing that happens when you deliberately create a dragnet for the most reprehensible people in the live streaming world and then refuse to adequately moderate. Kick has their little community guidelines document, sure, but many of their most notable creators violate these policies deliberately. They do it because it gets them viewers and money and benefits them in a variety of ways, but the buck stops with the platform itself because we're not talking about one-off bad eggs or infrequent examples. What we're talking about is a pervasive culture where the more you push the boundaries of indecency and disrespect, the bigger the paycheck. That makes sense when you remember the fact that Kick is merely a funnel for a crypto gambling establishment. That's probably the demographic they want more of. But there comes a time when the output from a website like this is overwhelmingly negative to a point where the simple truth is that it should be viciously shut down. Kick should not exist. Period. The platform should be torn down. The streamers should be displaced so that they're forced to find a more reputable location with at least partially superior moderation. Or, if they're so determined to be the bottom of the social barrel, which some of them are, they can learn what's required to access the real places where this type of content typically exists and go stream over there. Make no mistake, I'm not naive to a point where I fail to recognize that the horrors of the online world will always exist in the periphery, but Kick is a demonstration of societal rot, where the periphery is normalized and the rot is being allowed to spread. The defense inevitably used by people who perpetrate this kind of behavior is that we're all adults, if you don't like it, don't watch, or he could have left if he wanted to, no one forced him. But this rudimentary juvenile mentality fails to recognize the system of abuse which is built around profit mechanisms. Convincing someone, for example, that they'd have nothing without you and that the small inconveniences that they inflict on you for the sake of earning much more money are just a necessary evil in a group of friends, that's abuse. And it's also precisely what these people did to him, manipulating Raphael Graven into enduring perpetual torment. There is an entire apparatus of coercion that exists when someone vulnerable has been identified as a key player in mass-produced entertainment, they call it, except that entertainment was and is humiliation. What transpired on Kick, if this group of streamers was actually paid thousands of euros per hour for hundreds of hours in marathons where open torture occurred, if that contract did exist, what transpired on Kick is unforgivable. The platform should be ripped apart, shut down, and dismantled. The answer here is jail time for a bunch of people. In the end, I obviously have very strong feelings about Kick and those that have chosen it for their home. I've had those feelings for quite a while, and this most recent scenario is the tragic culmination of what happens when you cultivate deliberately the most toxic and disgusting people online, propelling them to the front page of the platform, where they inevitably spread their filth for mostly an underage audience. Everyone, and I don't say this lightly, and I do mean it, everyone in the world would be better off if Kick was deleted from the internet. That's it. If you want to support the channel, check out the links down below. A special VPN deal, locals and Patreon, channel memberships, merch, social media, etc., but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching. Question everything, and have a nice night.